Hi, welcome. JenniferOCHomes, Jennifer Castaneda here. I am sitting with Ernest Lefferman with Pro to Inspect, who is a home inspector, and I thought it would be beneficial to take the time and get to learn more about home inspections, the importance of home inspections, once you're in a home, regular maintenance home inspections, and we'll get started.
Perfect.
Hi, Ernest.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, so getting started, what got you into home inspections?
I first started in home inspections because I used to work for a parent company of a construction company, Senco
Okay.
Constructions. And they were actually the parent company of Sanel Property Inspections, which was one of the first Southern California property inspection companies.
Okay. What made you want to be in home inspections?
Honestly, when I used to work with the construction side, the labor was just killing my back. And one Friday when I went to go pick my check, I looked at across the office, and there was some guys picking up checks, and they were nice and clean, and they were laughing and giggling. And I'm like, what do they do? Why do they look so clean? And the lady said that was a property inspection division.
Okay.
So I'm like, how can I get into that part? I want to do that. So then she told me and explained to me what class I had to go through and the teaching I had to go through. Go under them for 3 months back then, and not get paid. That was basically just teaching.
Okay.
But I was young and I was like living at home with my mom, so I was like, well, why not? I did it.
Okay.
And ever since then, that's all I've been doing.
So, but you worked for the other companies, right? For some time. So how long have you been, how long have you been on your own, and how did you make
Been
that
on my
jump?
own since 2001 was when I opened up Pro Inspections.
Okay.
Pros to Inspect. Did property inspections for 4 years before that. So
Okay.
in total, 28 years now.
Okay.
So-
Were you nervous going on your own?
Oh yeah. The first year, I mean, if I had 4 inspections, was trying to get my name out there. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody trusted me. And it's just the experience. So once people start recognizing you and they start trusting your work, then they'll start hiring you.
So you said 4 inspections in the first year?
First year.
And how many inspections do you do per year now?
Right now, averaging about 650 a year.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
There was a time when we were averaging 1,000 a year. So that was when
Really?
the market was crazy.
Okay.
When everybody was buying from 2002 to 2006.
How many home inspections a day is that?
Averages right now averaging 2 to 3.
Okay.
Back then it was 4 to 5 inspections a day.
Those are long days.
Oh yeah, I would leave the house at 7 in the morning and come back at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh man. Well, I know you got to ride the wave, right?
Gotta write it.
What is the most rewarding part of your job as a home inspector?
Honestly, I think this is part of what makes realtors love their job, is to see the satisfaction and the joy of the people when they're buying a house.
Yeah.
I love that view. I love when they're in there, they're excited, they're just starting their new history of their life in with their partner or by themselves sometimes.
Yeah.
But just the joy you see in their face, I love it.
Except that you come in and you're the guy that gives them the bad news.
Well,
So
I don't give them bad news. I give them the truth, and that's the
Okay.
main thing. That's the way I look at it. I'm not there to break a deal. I'm not there to scare a buyer away. I'm gonna find everything I can on that house, and I'm gonna tell them exactly what I see.
yeah.
Everything is repairable. Just got to be aware of what the situation is. That's the main thing. Is you want your buyer to go into that house knowing everything,
Right.
so that way they're aware of it.
So for me, I know in real estate, one of the things that is not one of my favorite things to do is setting up open house signs, especially during the hot summer days. Is there part of your job that you're like, oh, I wish I just didn't have to do this one particular thing every single time, but you just have to do it?
I don't think there's anything about my job that I don't like, that maybe just knocks me down is in the summertime going in the attic. Because I'll just come out drenched. That's about the only thing that I was like, oh, I wish it was cooler.
Okay. Let's move on to educating buyers. So I think the most common way that people think of a home inspection is when you go to buy a home and then you would have a home inspection. So for first-time home buyers, what exactly does a home inspection cover? Actually, not even just for first-time home buyers, but for any home buyer.
Right.
What does a home inspection cover?
Covers everything. We cover the roof, the electrical, the foundation, the heating, the air conditioning, the electrical outlets, switches, light fixtures, walls, blemish on the walls, doors. We open and close all the doors, open and close all the windows. We go through the whole house. If it has a pool, we go through the pool system, pool equipment, run everything, make sure everything's working properly. And then we just create a report and showing all the deficiencies, things that didn't work or things that need work on or replacements or updating.
Right. Okay. Why is hiring a certified home inspector crucial during the home buying process?
Because buyers, when they go into a house, this specifically for buyers, when they go into a house, they fall in love with the house. You know, it's like when you go buy a car, you fall in love with the car, but you don't know what problems the car has, unless you're a mechanic. Same thing with a home. You don't know what problems the house has until you do a home inspection. And so just for the knowledge of the issues that the house may have.
Yeah.
Whether it's big or small.
I agree. Are there any common misconceptions buyers have about home inspections?
I think one of the misconceptions, as I've heard myself several times, is that they believe that the home inspection or the person is actually on the sales side. Doesn't mean it's the real estate buyer's side or the selling side. They think that they're there just to make sure that the house gets sold. Mm-hmm. The process goes through. So they believe sometimes that they're not going to get the full truth.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I've heard that several times. And once I go over it, and they'll bring an uncle, they'll bring a family member that's a contractor, and I've been doing the inspection for 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden I'll hear the uncle or the dad or the family member just go up to him and say, no, he knows what he's doing. He's doing the right job.
Oh, that's good.
And they'll just walk away or leave.
Yeah. I would say that I run into that too, where buyers get a little bit worried about whether or not all of the evidence, all of the truth is going to come up. So I can understand that. I will say California is a little bit more detailed with the whole entire process.
Right.
So that is not something that buyers have to worry about, but I can see that. Okay, what is your advice to buyers when they receive a long inspection report full of minor issues? Like, how would you dissect the home inspection report?
If I'm a buyer and I see a list of generic stuff, blemishes, scratches, scuff marks, it's not minor stuff. I mean, that's just a normal house. Even brand new homes will have this stuff. So don't get worried about the small stuff. Worry about the big stuff. And the way I separate it is I'll put down advice to have a plumber, inspect and repair is needed, or a roofer. Yeah. When it's something major and something that I don't think that the homeowner can repair themselves, then I'll specify a specialist. Yeah. Okay. I know in real estate, we typically tell buyers that things to focus on are more health and safety. Correct.
We were talking yesterday as well with code, right? Code might not necessarily be health and safety, or is code?
No.
Okay.
No.
I know that's a word we have to use very carefully.
Yes.
So I will be careful how I say it, but code basically just means that throughout the years as homes are being built, they change the requirements with builders, right?
Right. Okay. There's a standard they have to meet.
Right. But selling a house that maybe is built in the 70s, 80s, or even 90s, even though the code has changed, doesn't necessarily mean that the seller has to make any of those changes or anything.
That is correct. I mean, a house built in 1950 is not made the same way that a house is built in 2024.
Right, exactly. Okay, so diving deeper, let's see, without using any names, what would you say was the scariest or most shocking thing that you've ever found during a home inspection?
Okay, there's one house that I did way back in the day, probably 2004. It was on a hillside in Eagle Rock. And when I went in the house, literally just barely walking in, I was actually going up on the house. The slope of the flooring was all different. And so I came out and I went under the house before I even started the inspection. And I don't know if you know how the houses are built. They have a concrete perimeter wall. This one was actually brick. It was back in the day. It was an old house, 1902 built.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it had post piers and girders. And the posts, they're supposed to be nice and straight, sitting on a concrete pier or some kind of solid pier. And they were all like this, leaning forward on the hillside.
Okay.
So I literally went back into the house, grabbed my stuff, came out, called the agent and explained to him what I found. And I couldn't do that inspection because that house was ready to go, to go.
So it could have
wasn't
actually
anchored.
fallen down.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to stop an inspection because of safety concerns just outside of that one?
That one and remember in 2007, 8 when all the foreclosures happened?
Yeah.
So I was doing this house that was foreclosed, and every wall in that house was broken, damaged. All the wiring was cut. And when it was the previous owner just did a whole bunch of damage to that house. The half bathroom, when I went in there, it had a little sink, and it had a whole bunch of stuff in there, nails, just a whole bunch of weird things. So I couldn't try it. So I started digging the stuff out, and when I took about a quarter of an inch out, there was a shotgun shell pointing upward on it.
Oh.
So I was like, yeah, no, this is getting too crazy. So,
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh. All right. What about lawsuits? Have you ever been involved in any lawsuits or disputes due to missed inspection items? Anything like that?
Not missed inspection items, but I was in a lawsuit. That was a pretty big one. We won the case, or the general won the case because it was actually myself, the termite company, the seller, the agents, and it was actually the house was reconstructed. And 2 years after it was reconstructed, the balcony started leaking into the wall, and mold started growing. So they said that the plaintiff said that that we should have caught that, but this happened 2 years after the inspection. During the inspection, there was nothing there, and there was nothing wrong with it. Just aging. They didn't reseal the balcony. The 2 years that they were there, and the water started getting in there.
So is it tough, especially these days? I think California, again, as mentioned, the area that we live, there's a lot of lawsuits that tend to take place. Your job, I would feel like, holds a lot of responsibility, right? Because your job is one to uncover. Do you have people that contact you to say, hey, I don't think you saw this, or this happened to me, or?
I've had several people or previous customers that would call back and question and ask, and most of the time it's actually stuff that, because remember, we're doing a visual inspection.
Yeah.
So it's everything we can see. They'll call me back in 2-3 months after they take possession of the property, and hey, we opened up this wall and we found this in there.
Right.
And that's nothing that I could see. I mean, if it's inside a wall or if it's inside the plumbing, things like that, there's no way I can see that.
Yeah. Fair enough. Let's see. Beyond the purchase, ongoing maintenance. This is the one that I was actually looking forward to talking about, because I feel like it's becoming more and more important. Not that it wasn't before, but I don't think homeowners necessarily thought of getting a home inspection after they've moved into a home. However, it's not uncommon for a homeowner to get a termite inspection on a regular basis, right? Or sometimes, I guess, a roof inspection. But a home inspection, I feel like, is something that may have been overlooked, and I think it's becoming more and more important these days. In your opinion, why should homeowners consider regular maintenance inspections after they've closed on a home?
Well, it's like, again, I'm going to go back to the analogy of the car. When you buy a car, it's a depreciating asset. So you're basically putting money into it and losing money in it. But you maintain that. You do your regular oil changes, regular maintenance on it. And the house is an appreciating asset. Why wouldn't you do the same? Why wouldn't you maintain it? It will depreciate. Things will break down. Things will wear out. That house is going to give you more money in the long run in return. So you should maintain it.
Yeah.
And most homeowners don't.
I agree, because I can speak from personal experience, because I bought my home in 2016. I have been very good at roof inspections, the upkeep of it, I think, termite inspections. But I had you come out for the first time, and since I bought it, and I was nervous. I felt like, oh my gosh, what is going to show up? It's interesting, because actually the things that I thought were going to be of concern ended up not, and then some other things ended up coming up. And so one of the things that you had uncovered at my house, which, by the way, had I not had you come, I don't know that I would have noticed. I don't even know how many years I would have gone, because I had the, in the front entrance above my front door was the cracking in the seam. Well, it's so high up there that unless I would stop and stare at it, I don't know that I would have even seen it.
Most people don't walk looking up or down.
Yeah.
They walk straight, looking straight.
But the other interesting thing is, even if I had seen it, I don't know if I would have known who to call. And you were saying start with, and we don't know for sure, right? I mean, obviously, but you were saying start with the gutter people, because the seams of my gutters may not be sealed properly.
Correct.
And it's causing water to come down, which is trickling down to a corner section of my house. That is where the foundation is.
And it's eroding.
Which is eroding and causing, potentially could be the root of the problem.
Correct.
And if I don't address it, it's going to get worse, and that's not going to be good for me for resale.
And that's where you had asked earlier why certain inspectors are wanted or needed. The experience in a home inspector. You got to know why things are done a certain way and what the purpose is.
Yeah.
So that way you can figure out, okay, if this isn't doing this, this is causing this, and this is affecting this. So it's a little trail. You got to just follow it.
Yeah, really interesting. I was concerned, as I had told you, about the cracks in my front entrance way, which you're like, nah, those are fine. It's not, it's not a big deal. It's not attached to your foundation. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna crack is gonna continue into my house, and it did, but not from the front entrance. So that was really interesting. And then let's see. What areas of the home do you recommend homeowners check on annually? Maybe there's not areas of the home, but the entire home. Oh yeah, well how often would you recommend a home inspection after somebody moves in?
Yearly would be good because things will change throughout the year. It could be simple, an earthquake, just weathering, things like that. Because, for example, like your roof, your roof vent pipe seals, they might be sealed properly today. In a year's time, with the beating of the sun and weathering, they'll start deteriorating.
Yeah.
So they might not be sealed right. And if the seal breaks open, then the water will trickle down that pipe and go into your attic and affect your drywall, cause more damage.
Right.
Your piping, you've got to maintain your water pressure. Make sure that the water pressure is right.
Was mine? I don't even remember if mine. I think mine.
Yours was 80.
Okay.
Your volume pressure control, your valve, it'll go bad. It'll go bad and start allowing all the flow for the pressure to come through the house, and then sometimes it gets up to 100. I've seen as high as 134, which is extremely high for copper plumbing.
I know, and we'll talk about the hard water in our area and the piping in a little bit. But I want to move on to the next question, which actually is probably a good segue into the whole conversation itself. So, insurance is becoming an issue in Orange County.
It is changing.
How can regular home inspections help homeowners stay ahead of the potential problems and even reduce premiums?
Well, I've noticed in the last year a increase on roof or 4-point inspections, which is basically a roof inspection, electrical, plumbing, and heating. And that's because the insurance companies are requiring it or asking for it to renew your policy.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out ways of actually pushing off their insurance to somebody else.
Yeah.
So if they have a roofer or a roof inspection or any company that comes out and says, okay, all these items are good, if something happens within the next 2 years, they can push it off and say, well, you said it was good. This is the age and it's in good condition and serviceable condition, then you're liable.
Right.
So that's what insurance companies are doing. If you don't do it, actually the insurance companies are dropping people.
I know. I had, I don't know if I told you this, but I had one of my neighbors who had her insurance canceled because they had a drone. They're using drones to go out and fly over all the roofs.
Yep.
And her roof looked dirty.
Yeah, algae buildup.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
they're using that a lot.
They canceled her.
Yeah.
Just like that.
And all she had to do was get an insurance company or an inspection company, go up on a roof and actually take photos and document that the roof is actually in good condition. And if it has algae buildup, there's actually companies out there that will go out there and clean it. And they can keep their policy.
Was my roof okay?
Yeah, yours was fine. It's clean.
Okay. Other than that one section?
Other than the vent pipes for your
Okay.
pool. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Do I want to hit on the water? Is that another one? Local. Okay, we'll come to it.
Okay.
Can a maintenance inspection help homeowners avoid costly repairs down the road? I can say yes to this one.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Because if we find, for example, your house, we found that the vent or the piping going from the pool, solar panels are not sealed right.
Yeah.
There's very little damage to the wood right now. There's some blistering, there's some paint crackling, there's a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
Get taken care of with, $500, $700.
Yeah.
We'll take care of that. If you don't notice it and a year goes by and water keeps on going into that wood, now you're going to get more damage in that wood. And now instead of looking at a $500 repair, you could be looking at a $2,000 repair, $2,500 repair.
Yeah.
So
I can say with 100% certainty, I would not have noticed that. Now, fortunately for me, I do get a termite inspection every couple years. That is one of the things that's very high on my list because I know especially Orange County has a lot of termites. So that is something that I would have gotten, but I know that without doing this, I wouldn't have. So your average homeowner typically doesn't, a lot of them don't. I know I run into families that once they move into the house, they don't do a lot of maintenance. They don't have regular termite companies coming in.
and it's sad because not only do they not do it, and that's normal. No one ever does it.
Yeah.
But I've re-inspected homes a couple of times where I've did the original inspection. And for whatever reason, business or they're selling it now. And a lot of times the things I documented on the first report is still in the second report.
Really?
They never fixed anything.
Oh.
And it's some of these things can actually cause a lot of damage. And it just surprises me the fact that, okay, not only did they know about it, but then even knowing about it, they still don't fix it.
Yeah. So sitting here thinking about my own house and the things that I need to address with my house is I think everybody gets busy in the everyday life, and I think you think, okay, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I can see how that could happen, not by poor intentions, but just by
busyness of life.
Everyday life. But
you go to my house, if I have an inspector come in and inspect my house, they're going to find a lot of the same things. So what's that famous saying? A mechanic's car never runs right?
I know. I have sold homes of contractors and things like that where I could say that their house is the last thing that is done.
My wife will be the first testament to that. She'll say, I do not maintain my house.
But, okay, so let's see. I think that is it for that one. Moving on, let's talk local challenges. Orange County, oh my gosh. All right. So we talked about a little bit. We have a lot of hard water in our area, pinhole leaks, slab leaks. From your experience, what can homeowners do to prevent or minimize these issues?
The biggest thing is going to be a soft water system. Soft water system will actually take away a lot of those minerals and additives that they put in the water to make it safe for drinking. That's what they do for chlorine, whatever else they put in there. So if you install a water softening system, that'll be the best way to actually maintain it. It's not going to repair any damages that it's caused already, but it will help it.
Right. Okay. That and repiping.
Yeah.
But
That's costly.
It is, but it's also costly to have a pinhole leak.
Oh yeah,
and
that's a lot more costly.
And especially now, I think going back to the insurance situation, if you have insurance and then you file a claim or you have a pinhole leak, then I think that puts you at risk for future problems with insurance.
And the funny thing about insurance companies is they're not out to get anybody. They're covering themselves. If you have a water softening system and you do a routine maintenance on your house as far as inspections and things like that, and you have a roofer that just inspected your house and so on and so on, they actually give you discounts. They'll actually help with your monthly cost because they know they're taking on a less of responsibility by you maintaining your house the way it should be.
Right. Okay. One of the other things you had mentioned is expansive soil, which is popular, I guess, in our areas.
Certain areas, yeah.
Okay. And then, so it's a concern. How does this impact homes, and what signs should homeowners watch for?
Expansive soil will happen when the moisture in the ground evaporates and dries up and expands again when it takes it in, so it just moves, it shifts. On soft concrete pours, which is like a 3-inch, like your patio, your walkways, your driveways, you'll have cracks, and they'll start opening up, separating, moving, depending on what's happening in the ground at that time. Once you start getting cracks on your concrete, though, if you don't take care of it, moisture or rain, when it rains, will go into the cracks and go all the way, travel down into the dirt. Once it hits the dirt, it starts eroding the dirt, so the concrete will actually shift and open up bigger. So once you see little cracks, it's better to take care of them. You can fill them with epoxy, concrete.
Which also reminds me, we talked yesterday about tree roots and bushes, or the roots of bushes. In your opinion, which trees and or bushes are the most destroying or...
Palm trees and ficus.
Palm trees? Really?
Everybody thinks palm trees are the best thing because their root grow in a ball. They don't, they'll spread. And they love water, and they'll find water, and they'll break through piping to get into the water.
Do I need to get my palm trees removed?
That's personal preference if you want to. I'm removing mine. I love mine, but yeah, I'm having nothing but problems with my drainage on the grounds right now.
Really?
Because I got a whole bunch of roots in there.
Did you see any problems or challenges with mine?
I didn't see any, but unless you do a scope, you're not gonna know where it's at. Because the problem could be actually 5 feet, 10 feet down your line, and you're not gonna see it by the eye. I just put another word in.
Oh man, come on, Orange County, California. I mean, the palm trees are our signature.
They are,
right?
they are, and like I said, I love the way they look, but yeah, they're problematic.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. Have you seen any trends or common problems in Orange County homes that buyers and owners should be particularly aware of right now?
Not strictly Orange County. It's funny. In all the inspections I've done, there's always water damage, somewhere or another. The water is the worst thing for anything on construction. It will just tear up the drywall, create mold, mildew. I know we're not supposed to say those two words.
I know.
It does create them. But as long as you make sure that you don't have any leaks anywhere, under your sinks, your toilets flushing properly, not leaking to the bottom. Your bathtubs are sealed properly, not streaming down the side of the wall.
I know. I think I had one, my bathroom. I had a little crack. It's so tiny, though.
Again, it comes down to maintenance. Just maintaining and making sure that your house is up to par.
All right. So, how does an average homeowner know? I'm going to two questions, kind of a 2-in-1. When it comes to seeing cracks and things in the home or in the outdoor area, how do you know what is something that should get checked right away versus something that is just your standard typical shifting? And then the other question is pertaining to moisture. How long does it take for water problems to turn into mold?
Okay, the first part, the way homes are built, the frame, the wood, flexes. And then that's why they're nailed together, so that way the nail will actually flex. If they screw them down, it won't flex, you'll have more cracks. So if you're getting up in the morning and you just happen to look up in your bedroom ceiling and there's a crack that wasn't there yesterday, something's going on. Okay, the cracks just don't appear just because, especially if we didn't have a good sized earthquake and you have a crack, then something's happening. You got to find out what's going on. Could be a cracked rafter, could be a cracked stud, could be foundation issues. Just got to figure out what's going on. That's where an inspector will go in and start trying to figure out, put the puzzle together.
Okay.
Water damages, it could be as quick as a week. It could be as long as 2 months, depending on where the leak is actually at.
Okay.
If the leak is inside your cabinet underneath the sink or in the bathroom and water's getting onto the drywall will absorb the water like a sponge. And since it's enclosed, it's not getting any air, not getting any ventilation, so mold will start growing. If it's inside the wall, it could take longer for the mold to appear, but once it appears through the wall to the outside, it's because it's inside the wall, it's already spread out.
Yeah.
So.
And when you are doing home inspections and you see, let's say, staining or whatever, you have a meter or something, right?
We carry moisture meters.
And you test them.
Yep. Infrared cameras, temperature sensors. We test everything to make sure what's going on and see if there is actually any moisture in the wall. Now, there's been times where it's funny. I'll find the bioorganic growth, as you want to call it, to be on the safe side. After I said it a bunch of times, I'll take a moisture meter reading and there's no moisture in there. It's bone dry, but it's there. So that means there was a problem that happened a long time ago. They fixed the leak or whatever was causing it, but never fixed the wall. And once it's there, it's not going to just go away. If it starts leaking, well, it might not grow anymore, but if it starts getting moisture, it'll start growing again.
Any other local area problems or things that come up that you think is important to share?
I'm trying to think just in Orange County, but.
What about houses on hills?
The way they're built on hillsides, especially like let's say by the beaches, just make sure the footings, if they're up on a raised foundation, the footings, anchoring, everything's proper. Older homes are anchored with just a lag bolt, which now they don't allow that. They have to be actually anchored properly with posts and piers, braces and brackets. So just make sure when you're buying a property there, you just have it inspected and make sure it's the way it should be done.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So for buyers or even homeowners, when they are looking to choose a home inspector, how do they know somebody that is certified and experienced? Like, what do they look for when?
Main thing would be ask for references. Okay. Ask for references. If the inspector is glad to give you the previous inspections they've done, that means they're not hiding anything. They're confident of their work. Okay. Experience. How many inspections have they done? How many, what schooling they have? What part of associations they are in? Things like that. That always helps.
How many inspections have you done?
20,200 and something. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm old.
You're experienced.
I'm experienced. There you go.
Old.
There you go. I'm experienced.
Experienced. Okay. So what kind schooling? How do you stay on top of changes or codes?
There's classes that we take online, and they just bring us up to codes because codes change every single year. Even throughout the year, they change. Okay. Some codes will change and then change back again. Okay. Because that's just the way they are.
Okay.
And then things, new equipment or new safety concerns, they always come out, and we learn about those things, and that we're aware of it.
Yeah.
So it's just online classes that we take.
Okay. How can someone get in touch with you, Pro to Inspect, if they need an inspection or want to schedule a maintenance check?
You can call at the main number is 714-267-5579.
Want to repeat that?
714-267-5579. And there's a 951 area code number, 951-692-6624.
Okay.
Call that one too.
Okay. Is there one piece of advice you'd give to every homeowner, regardless of their home's age or condition?
Yes. Just be aware that your house will deteriorate. Make sure you make every attempt to stay on top of your house. Yeah. Something that doesn't work, that that doesn't work, get it fixed right away, because that could be a cause or a root of something else. So make sure you stay on top of your house.
Yeah, I agree with that. I am grateful that you came out to the house and that you did my home. And I was nervous about you coming out because it's a little bit intimidating to think, oh man, I guess I could feel that aspect of my maintenance had a little
How many
gap.
inspections have we done together for you?
I know you've done a ton for me. It's not that it wasn't on my mind. It was just actually saying, hey, Ernest, you should come to my house and do this. I guess because you live in the house every day, sometimes you feel like you know your house. Yeah. And
now imagine that you are not selling your house. You did that as a preventive maintenance, just so you're aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were the seller and you're selling your house and an inspector comes and inspects your house. You're on pins and needles because
I know.
In your mind, he can break the deal, which unfortunately there's inspectors out there that do.
Yeah.
They scare people.
I have to say, so one of my things, as you know, is that when I have listings, I have you come out previous to us putting the house on the market as a listing. But it's to help. And I will say, even today, you have one later on, the homeowner was hesitant because they were like, why doesn't the buyer do this? And not that the buyer won't get their own, but it is it's very uncomfortable to be told what's wrong, what you're not doing
course.
right, and
They
so
take it personal.
I can, but now I can actually, I feel like I can personally relate. I think previously when I had made the recommendations, I don't know if I could relate as well.
Right.
But
That
now,
feeling, yeah.
now I am on the other side and having it was what, eight years, I think,
Yeah.
since I had done anything. And now so I get it. But I think it is very beneficial. I see the value. I am sure that, every year or so I will have you come out now because I can see the benefit and helping me stay on top of things for sure. So.
Good deal.
All right. Well, I think that is a wrap for today. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this and you want to see more, make sure you follow, subscribe, DM, all of that stuff.